Well, hello everybody. We are live. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. We've got a very important show here. Um, Something I find very disturbing, actually, and we need to discuss some things. Hello, David Lewis. How you doing? Good to see you here. Um, Piper Warrior, good to see you. Who do we got here? Frank's Fly Traps. How you doing? Good to see you. Um, David Alfonsetti, good to see you. You guys send out those invites, if you would, please, because we have a very important subject here that we need to discuss. And as some of you have seen the video that I put out this morning, that video is actually taken off. It's really getting out there and um, getting a lot more attention than a lot of videos that I put out there. But right now, I think I know I'm over 1,100 views on that video right now, which I'm happy about, not because of the views, but there's a message that we need to get out there, you guys, because things in our hobby are really, they really are at risk if we don't pay close attention to the things that are taking place and the way people do things. So there needs to be some education. There needs to be some respect in this hobby, and we're going to discuss that tonight. So send out those invites if you would. I would appreciate it. When we get started here, I'd like to hear from some of you guys and some of the experiences that you have had out there. And this whole live stream and the video that I did earlier today was inspired by me going out to get some permissions the other day. And I was actually turned down on one permission, not because of anything that I did wrong or anything like that, but because of something that somebody else prior, another metal detectorist, did prior to me showing up to ask permission. And so we're going to discuss that. So hit that invite button out there, you guys. Get some people in here, invite all your metal detecting friends. And if you are watching this on the replay, right now we're live, but if you're watching this on the replay later on, please share this out and just let's get this message out there to everybody that we can, you guys. It's really crucial to keeping our hobby intact here. So who do we got going here? Let's see, we got Rye Patch Ron. How you doing, Ron? Good to see you. Rick Kiefer, good to see you. And Detector Steve, it's been a long time, brother. How you doing? Good to see you. And Rob Kirsch, good to have you here too. So anyway, yeah, I don't know if you guys had seen the video I put out this morning, but let's just kind of get this started here real quick and talk about what my experience was. It was 2 days ago, I guess, 3 days ago, maybe. I went out looking for permissions to get some new permissions for metal detecting, just kind of getting set up through the year. I kind of go out and get permissions lined up so I don't have to do it while I'm wanting to go detect. And in the process, the very first house that I stopped at to do this, I knocked on the door and I had previously, years before, last year and the year before that, I had metal detected the neighboring properties on either end of this place. So I knocked on the door and I said to him, I said, "Hi, my name is Larry," and introduced myself and told him that I said, "You might have seen me around here. I've been at both of your neighbors here last year, and I said, I've taken an interest in your place because you've got a very historic house here. I said, you might have seen me around town as well, but I do metal detecting." And I was just, I asked him if he had any objections to me metal detecting his property. And I mean, that's just kind of a short version of it. I built a little bit of rapport in there first, but but when I did ask that, he said, no, thank you. He says, I let a guy in here to metal detect before, and he left my yard a mess, just tore it up. He dug holes and just left the yard a mess. And immediately, Pack Rat, good to see you here, buddy. Hang out here for a little bit. I'd like to talk to you if you're willing to come on in a little bit. I know that you've had some experiences there in Spokane too, so I'd like to bring you on here in a little bit if you got the time. But anyhow, I knew as soon as he said it that, you know, my blood just kind of boiled immediately. I didn't show that to him. I was extremely disappointed, and this is not the first time I've heard something like this. I've heard it from other people. Hollywood Joe, good to see you, brother. So anyway, I did not want to push the issue, and we never should, you guys. When we go to a permission and we ask and we get turned down, don't push it, you guys. Just respect what they say. Just respect them, you know, cut your losses and move on to the next one. But the thing is, I told him, I said, I'm sorry that happened to you. I actually teach people how to properly dig a plug, retrieve the target, and then replace the plug, and you can't really tell that I've even been there. I says, but I understand where you're coming from here. I'm sorry that was an experience that you had. And I handed him a business card, and I told him, I said, I want to thank you for your time, and if you ever change your mind, feel free to give me a call. And it was a polite conversation between us. Digging with Deej, how are you doing? If you have the time, I'd like to bring you on here in a little bit as well, if you're willing. I know that you've recently had some discussion about this topic that we're having here tonight. So David Lee, good to see you. Ham Radio, good to see you. So anyway, you guys, I left there and I was pretty upset just because I got to thinking about our hobby here and just realized that, you know, this is just one permission, one house that I stopped out of I don't know how many houses are in my small town. And I show up to one house and it's a no because a previous so-called metal detectorist has ruined it. And because of that, that was a denial. And that's not right, you guys. If we can't have integrity in this hobby, it's going to fail. The hobby will fail. And that's scary because I know that many of you are dedicated to this hobby just like I am. I love this hobby. I mean, to me, I'd rather go metal detecting than go to a theme park or anything. I don't like theme parks. I want to be out there metal detecting. I want to be able to find history. And because of the lack of self-respect, the lack of morals, the lack of instruction, can really cause this hobby to take a dive. This is very important. You guys, please hit that share button, share or invite your friends, invite whoever you can, because we got to get this word out there. Anyway, and it's strange. I mean, like I say, this isn't the first time this has happened. I've actually been metal detecting in places where you can see the metal detectorists have been there. They dug a hole and they did a terrible job of putting things back together. It looks horrible. And you know darn well, when you do that, whoever owns that property, they're going to be, you know what? You're not welcome back here again. You're not welcome back here. I did a video on this, I don't know, 4 years ago, I guess, 3-4 years ago. It was your, something like your beginner's guide to metal detecting. And I showed how to properly dig a plug and to make it to where it doesn't even look like you've been there when you get done. And I really want people to go back to basics when it comes to, I mean, seasoned detectorists, you guys, a lot of them just don't take the time. They just want to get to the next hole. And by doing that, you're gonna dig yourself right out of a hobby. Really. I mean, I should have named this live that, digging yourself out of a hobby. It's crazy and it's scary. So this is really bugging me, as you can tell from my video this morning and this live stream. And I just wanted to discuss this situation with you guys and what experiences you've had. I know that there's places in a local town just not far from me. They've created city ordinances that says no metal detecting or no digging. You can't dig. You can metal detect and find things on the surface, they say. But what's the point of that? We know that there's no history on the surface of the ground most of the time. I have found some history on the surface before, but most of the time we have to dig for that history. We can find the everyday common clad and stuff like that on the surface a lot of times, but it's just ruined, and it's because of people that do not pay attention to the hobby. So speaking of paying attention, let me see who we got in here. We got Joe Albino. Good to see you. We got Digging Daryl. How you doing, buddy? Digging with Deej. We got Rob Kirsch. We got Ham Radio Kiwi. Okay. And I'm sorry, you guys, I'm by myself tonight. It's kind of hard for me to jabber on the way I do with my jaws flapping here and read the comments. But anyway, I do have some people in here that I would like to talk to. Let's see here. I'll tell you what, you guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a link here, an invite link. I'm going to put that down here in the comments. So if you guys have had any experience of being kicked out of a place, being run off of a property or anything like that because of the failure of a previous detectorist, just failing to do what he's supposed to do, or he or she, then feel free to hop on. I'm going to put this link down here right now. Let's see here. All right, should be in there now. Whoops. Okay, yeah, it's in there. Sorry, you guys, I had my the chat scrolled up a little bit, so I wasn't seeing all the comments coming in live here. Detector Steve, and it's been a while. I believe the people who do that aren't really into the hobby and are just thinking they can get rich. You know, Steve, I don't know, brother, because a lot of times, you know, I hear it from people in clubs and stuff like that. Anybody that's been in the hobby for any period of time must realize this isn't a hobby where you're just going to go out and get rich. I mean, most of the time we find things that are worth a few bucks. You know, you find a key date that may be worth, you know, $100-200 or something every once in a while, or who knows, but it's not something where you're going to go out and it's going to change your life. In most cases, there have been people go out and, you know, beginner's luck, turn up a hoard of gold coins or something like that. But in most cases, that's just not realistic. This is really a hobby for the passion of history. Let's see here. We got Eric Campbell. How you doing, Eric? I'm a zoning inspector, and I have had to run guys off my properties who just started detecting. Eric, man, it's a shame. And this is why I'm so passionate about getting this morning's video out, tonight's live stream. I want this out there as much as we can get it out there, because we need to instruct the beginner, but also the people that are seasoned detectorists. You guys, we can't just blame the beginners here, because there are seasoned detectorists that just don't care. And if you don't care, you guys, I really ask you, You know, if you can't care for somebody else's property, even better than the way you care for your own property, you pack it up. Pack it up, you guys. Sell your equipment. Find something else to do that doesn't involve somebody else. You know, take up fingernail painting or something. I don't care. but walk away from the hobby if you can't respect other people's property. So, but anyway, Pack Rat, buddy, are you? I see you in here. Been doing this for over 50 years. And was taught by Betty Weeks and Lucy Bowen. I know them out of Spokane. And to be a professional, take pride in leaving it look like you were never there. That's exactly right. Pack Rat, would you be willing to hop on here? Do you have a camera where you can hop on? I'll see if I can post the link in here again. And this is for anybody, you guys. I just want to hear your experiences. I know that Pack Rat's a president, I believe the president of the Northwest Treasure Hunters Club up in Spokane. And I seen a post earlier, I think it was yesterday, talking about this very same thing. And there's been some trouble because people are not digging proper plugs and filling in their holes and stuff, you guys. It's horrible. Rocky Bullock, it's good to see you. This has to be said. It's called respect. Exactly right. That's exactly what it is. Rick Kiefer, let's see. It's starting to get nice here in California. Yeah, it's getting nicer weather here, Rick. Let's see here. Eric Campbell, I trapped fur for 40 years, written permission and 3-ring binders full of permissions and lost permissions because of bad eggs. Yes, exactly. I was talking to somebody. Actually, somebody left a comment on my video this morning saying that their entire town got shut down. The city just said no more metal detecting. No more. That's it. Because of people that don't take care of it. You're going to, you know, if you can't respect it, you're going to just lose it. And the people who have a passion for this hobby, like I do, are not going to be happy with those who do this. As you can tell, I'm not very happy. And so we need to really respect what we do. And you guys, it's self-respect. Self-respect. If you can't represent yourself in a good way, what do you do? I mean, somebody's popping on here. We got Pack Rat. Hang on, you guys. Hey, Pack Rat, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm alive and kicking. Good to see you. It's good to see you. So, but and we got Digging with Deej here too. Let's pull her on as well.
Hi guys. I'm on my phone because for some reason the computer is locked up. I don't get what's going on, but
that's
probably my internet.
That's all right. That works. So, but Pack Rat, I noticed a post in the group, Facebook group here, or I noticed a post that you'd put up about some troubles up in Spokane. I didn't get a chance to really check into it though.
Yeah. Well, basically, you know, up in Spokane city parks and schools I've been doing this for like 50 years, and it back in the 70s, it came about where they made it set up so where you're only supposed to use 3/8-inch probe to recover targets in the parks and the schools. Mm-hmm. And with so many new people coming on the program now of getting into detecting, there's a lot of people that are, you know, taking the shortcuts, not checking into figuring out what the rules are. And just lately here, the other day I was out and I ran into 2 different people that had different kinds of hand diggers that weren't allowed in the park. And I had to, you know, explain to them, hey, you know, I know it makes it, you know, if you do it right, it makes a good deal, but that's just not the rules. And if you don't follow the rules, you're going to wind up getting the parks closed, you know?
That's
yeah.
Right.
And like I said, I've been doing it for a long time, and I've dug with screwdriver forever. I was taught by some of the best, Lucy Bowen and Betty Weeks back in the day. And a couple things they emphasize on me is, hey, you know, be a professional, you know, do it the right way, and leave the ground, you know, like you were never there.
Right.
And people say, yeah. And I always laugh now. And I tell people, well, hey, look at it this way, guys. You're in a good area and you're finding some stuff. Why are you broadcasting how many holes you're digging and how many things you're recovering? That's kind of stupid. You just advertised to everybody else, hey, this is a good spot. That
Right.
Go in there and dig after you. So you're kind of sabotaging yourself by leaving trash and making messy holes. So
right.
Yeah, that's another point right there too. I've been seeing so many things here where people, and I've noticed this too. Every once in a while, I hate to say this, but I go and I visit TikTok and I watch some of those live streams, and I've actually watched guys dig holes. Oh, that's just a can, and they
it's like
put
a
the dirt
crater,
back on
and they
top of
throw
it.
the can back in the hole and cover it up.
Exactly. Take your garbage with you, you guys. You
Well,
know, that's
especially
going to be a
if it's-
benefit.
If it's
Yep.
especially in the spot you're digging all the time, why are you going to go back and dig the same signal that's a piece of trash 5 or 6 times? Just take
That's
it with
right.
you, and you don't have it there anymore.
Right.
That's
Right.
right.
For sure.
Deej,
Well,
where are you out of now?
I'm out of Michigan.
Michigan. Okay.
Central Michigan. I had a situation that a groundskeeper of a park that I frequent a couple times each year because it has a concession stand.
Mm-hmm.
And I came in there one day and I go into this park. I do not carry a shovel. I carry a hand digger
Mm-hmm.
because I'm concerned about what it looks like to people who are non-diggers. That's important to me.
Sure.
And I've gone into parks where I've seen people with regular spades going in there, these giant spades, and digging these giant holes. It's like, whoa. Anyhow, I went in this park and the groundskeeper came up to me and he goes, "Did you stop filling your holes?" And I said, "Since when?" "No." "Well, there's a monster hole." I said, "Well, show me. I'll help you repair it." But no, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And I go over and it's a hole that is underneath the chain link fence to somebody's backyard. Okay. And it's very obvious to me, because I'm a country girl, and I don't know where this groundskeeper was from. He could have been from a big city. But it was very obvious to me that it was a groundhog hole because there was stuff dug up and there was pieces of mason jar and stuff. Well, the house on the other side of the fence is an 1830 house. And the barn is still there.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, this is a groundhog hole." "Oh, no, it's not. Oh, no, it's not." Well, the owner heard us and came out of the barn and said, "Oh, yes, it is a groundhog. And I've been trying to catch these daggone things." And the groundskeeper turned to me and he goes, "I am so sorry, Deej." I said, "I would never do it. I would never dig a hole that big, number one. And number two, I would never leave an open hole." Right. So I said, you know me, I come in here with a hand digger, a small hand digger. So, there can be, I have only experienced cases of mistaken identity, that it was an animal hole and not. I have heard from other people on the East Coast after clam digger groups go out and people blame the mess on the beach, even though it's going to go away once the tide comes back up. Mm-hmm. Blame it on the detectorists.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. You bet.
They're going, no. If you go online and check this group, you'll see they had an event out here. They were clam diggers. Oh, okay. And then they check and they see, they'll pull it up on their phone and show them. There was a clam digger event this morning,
Right.
So I had a live stream last Tuesday night. If anybody has the time to watch, I brought in the presidents of 2 clubs here in Michigan. Mm-hmm. And their thoughts on it as well. And my suggestion to them was, because we, over the last few years during the vid, their clubs jumped in size. I mean, I think Michigan Metal Detecting is up around 7,000 members now.
I saw something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, and they have a really good group. Don't see a whole lot of drama, on the Facebook page. I don't think I've seen any there. And then Michigan Treasure Hunters, I'm joining later this month. They have been around since the 70s. I think this is their 49th year in existence in Michigan. So I think they've been around longer than any other club. And both these groups, these clubs, have group digs. And then, for instance, Michigan Metal Detecting has a summer picnic. Everybody brings a dish to pass. And then they have separate hunts for kids, separate hunts for adults. I suggested to them that I really felt like they needed to separate the hunts by age bracket.
Uh-huh.
Because you get the coin shooters that come in and they zip, 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 zip. I don't even hunt the hunts anymore because I'm out there trying to encourage people to cut their plugs correctly, because I don't like calling it dig a hole. Call it cut a plug.
Yeah.
Cut a flap plug so the grass doesn't die, so we don't lose our permission at that park. But I told them, if we have like 3 hunts, young children, teens, and adults, I will buy the silver, and the winners, first and second place for each group, who can cut the nicest flap plug. And with a hand digger, not with a shovel.
Yeah.
So, because these groups are based in Livonia, so not all, but a good portion of them live in the city. So more than likely, they're going to be hunting, home permissions or park permissions.
Right.
But they do everything they can to encourage, ethics, learning about, don't get caught trespassing. State of Michigan is wicked if you get caught trespassing. And
that's the thing too. I mean, somebody made a comment on my video today that people were encouraging in groups that, I don't even bother to ask permission. It's better to ask forgiveness than to, that kind of a mentality. And you guys, that's going to kill us.
That's going to kill it right there.
It's just going to destroy everything. I kind of wrote down some things here.
Okay.
One of the things that I think, this is what I do when I go to a permission, is I knock on the door. I build a little bit of rapport with that person,
right?
Whoever it may be.
Find something you have in common with them. Look around their yard.
Yep.
Look at their pets.
Build a little bit of rapport there, and then when it comes to the point of asking for permission, I ask them, would you have any objections to me metal detecting your property? And if I get a yes, if I get a no, I respect that. I completely understand. I thank you for your time and have a great day.
You still thank them, yeah.
But if not, if he says, yeah, go ahead. Yep. I have no problem with it. I explain the process. I don't want to bring any surprises to the landowner whatsoever.
Right.
I say, what I normally do, as long as it's okay with you, is I dig a plug. I have a metal detecting spade that I use. It's not like a real garden shovel, but
I use a spade.
And I dig a 3-sided plug, flip the flap over. I use a pinpointer, recover the target. Any dirt that I have to put out of the hole, I either put it on a drop cloth or I just brush it back into the hole.
Right.
And then flip my plug back in, stomp it down, make it to where you can't even really tell I've been there.
Right.
And I explain that to them. And I ask the owner if that's okay with them. And if they say okay, great. Is there any place on your property that you would not
want me to detect?
Yes.
You don't want to be digging up their pets.
Places? And some of them say, yeah, I've got a pet cemetery over here that I'd really prefer that you didn't go over there.
Right.
Or something along those lines. And then you got to, from that point, Some of them will want to have a discussion. Well, what do you do with your fines?
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, here in Idaho, this is your land.
Right.
So whatever I find is ultimately yours. So I started this hobby because I like to collect pieces of history. But
Mm-hmm.
if we could, come up with an arrangement, if you want some of the fines or something, then we can take a look and agree on something before
Right.
you get started.
Right.
So everything, you want to make sure that it is crystal clear in that
Exactly.
property owner's mind what you intend to do before you get started.
Yeah.
And that's going to make a world of difference.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get done at the end of the day and you
You
say,
lay
well,
it all out
I
for
found
them to
this stuff
see
here,
everything.
lay it out, show it to them. And then at the end of the day, say, if you want to, would it be okay if I returned at some point to detect again? Because normally one trip,
It takes
with a coil that big doesn't get you very far.
right.
And it usually takes a while to cover an area.
Right.
Would it be okay if I returned at a later date? And you'll get either a, well, yeah, yay or nay, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But make sure that the communication is there, because that's going to go a long ways with
Mm-hmm.
what you do.
Right.
And let them see how you dig a plug. I mean, if they want to see, because if they're concerned about their lawn,
Mm-hmm.
let me demonstrate this for you. We
Right.
can go to an inconspicuous place, dig
Mm-hmm.
a plug, whatever you want to do. I'll show you the process and let you go from there if they're concerned about it.
Right. Right.
But even if it's not a lawn, if it's a beach, if it's out in the desert, I mean, there's animals out there that can break a leg in one of them holes.
Oh yeah, for sure. The deer especially.
You just never know. So it's just good to have that respect wherever you go, and just do things. Make it a habit that you take the time to do everything properly. So, and Pack Rat, you use a
Once you got
screwdriver.
the
I can't
permission,
believe that.
once you got the permission, you're not in a hurry. Take
Right.
your time and do it right.
The Pack Rat's been using a screwdriver for how many years?
50 plus.
50 plus years. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I've never tried to use the probe.
I'm not very good at it. I've done it before,
I'm
but I'm
worried
not
about
real
trying to
good at
scratch
it.
a coin or something. But
I'll tell you, it's really, over the years, I've developed different ways for different types of ground and whatnot. But for general, grass areas, parks, schools, yards, whatever, I found the best way of doing it. I do this every year with our club thing where we do this, and I show them how to dig and all that. It's just sort of a thing. I open it up to the public and everything else. But basically, what I do is you get your signal, and I back off 2 or 3 inches off where I've got it pinpointed from. And then I stick my screwdriver in the ground. I mean, if it's a shallow target, an inch or something or two, you can usually just find it. It's usually a coin that's used stuff. But if it's an older target that's deep, I back off a couple inches and slide the screwdriver in the ground at like a 45-degree angle or a little less, and I use like an 8-inch screwdriver, and then I just pull up on the screwdriver, slit, and then you just take and push the screwdriver back and forth and widen that slit, and once you get the slit, widened, open enough, you can dig down as deep as you need to dig into the dirt to get the target out using your pinpointer and whatnot to find it. Put the dirt back in the hole that you've dug out, push the slit back together, and there's nothing there.
Right.
So, a situation where you just kind of, you develop a neat way of digging so that you're not making a mess. And,
right. Yeah. Well, that's something I'd like to learn in case I have to go to Washington State at some point, but or maybe somebody prefers that in their yard. Who knows? Who knows?
Sometimes if you're trying to, emphasize to them, hey, I'm not going to make a mess. Sometimes by using the slit method, where you open it up and slide and squish it back together, and there's not even any signs whatsoever,
Right.
because all you've done is make a slit in the ground.
Right.
So
Right.
it just depends. Sometimes it's your best plan of attack, and in our case here in Spokane, if you're hunting the parks and schools and stuff, that's what you got to do. And I started out that way, and I just never used anything else because I've got one screwdriver now that I've had for basically probably 45 years of my 50
You showed
years.
that to me. It was really
Wow.
smooth.
I lost it twice. I found it both times. One time I lost it for 2 years at one of our big
Oh my
our
gosh.
club puts on a big hunt every year. And I had it out there at the hunt, and I lost it at the hunt. And I figured, well, it's gone. And 2 years later, I found it in our club trailer. Somebody found it, stuck it in the trailer. So I've had it for a long time, and it's a good heavy duty 3/8 inch 3/8 inch blade on it, and it holds up really well. So
you bet. Well, we got an unhappy customer here, and I'm going to call him out here, Sandman 4224. Buddy, yeah, I am griping here. I'm not going to use your language, but if you're still in here, there's a reason why I'm upset about this. If you don't care about the hobby, I suppose you're going to continue to do what we're talking against here, but it's not going to benefit you. I promise you that. It's not going to benefit anybody in the hobby.
Now, one thing I did notice last year was a small town that I detect in, I already know that they have online saying that you can metal detect any of that township's property.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went to this park because I knew that they had dug it up recently for some kind of underground work. And when I got there, there was a brand new sign up. And the sign did not reflect the township's rules. The sign said no destroying of lawn or bushes, things like that. So I went in with my detector and my pinpointer, and I just detected in the sand area of the tot lot there.
Okay.
And did that where I wasn't cutting any plugs or anything. But be aware, the places that you normally go, double check the signage, make sure nothing's changed.
You bet.
And
you
that.
bet.
Another thing I do.
Know what you guys are doing, because if you're in a spot you're not supposed to, I mean, there's been people that's gone into places that were historical, that were completely forbidden to be metal detected. They've ended up losing their metal detector, their truck, their everything that they owned at the point in time they were there.
Yeah.
So, but you guys, I just put another link down there, and so if you have any experiences that you've run in, or any situations you've run into along this topic, feel free to hop on. That link is there in the chat.
Now, I have a tip for people that like to hunt parks. I always go early to avoid the crowds. I always go online and print out the ordinance that says that you can metal detect in that park. I printed out a couple of copies.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if somebody approaches you, I had a woman approach me once and say, "Oh, that's illegal. You can't do that in this park." And I would say, "I'm sorry, ma'am, you're mistaken. Here, I've got a copy of the ordinance. Yes, I am allowed. You can keep this."
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And they walk away reading it. I said, "If you have any problems with that, feel free to call the township." And that. And then she'll say, then later on, she cooled down, came back over. "Well, have you found anything good?" I said, "Well, a lot of junk, but I found some, modern coins, but that's about it."
Yeah. Yeah, it's good if you can.
But I did find a railroad spike to prove the railroad went through there at one time. And I showed her that. And I said, "This proves the railroad did go through here at one time." And she was like, "Oh." And I said, "That's why I do this, to save history."
We had somebody try to jump on there, but something happened, didn't quite connect. Okay.
Do you want me to step out so somebody else can
Oh,
come
you're
back
okay
in?
there, Deej, if you want. Well,
Okay.
here,
Okay.
we got somebody trying to pop on here. Wisconsin Lockman. For some reason, it's not.
You've got to give permission for your camera and your audio.
Yeah. He tried to connect up there. He's gone now.
Oh my.
But anyway, yeah, this is just, I don't know. I know I'm on a rant here with these videos here lately, but it's, you guys, it really is important
Well,
to
this
all
is
of
the
us.
time of year because we've got new people coming into the hobby that, or, you know, that weren't here last year, and we're trying to prepare them.
Yep.
There we go.
Hey, Wisconsin, how you doing?
I'm doing good. You guys?
Good, good. I can barely hear you. Are you kind of far from your computer there?
Yeah, I'm on my phone right now.
Okay.
So I own Groundview Metal Detectors in sales and rental here in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin.
Uh-huh.
And I also started Three Seasons Treasure Hunters Club. And we had an incident where a bunch of people came into the fairgrounds and some other parks and just dug holes. And we just about lost permission to do the hunting at these places. We went in
Yeah,
as a
Wisconsin and Minnesota are tough when it comes to
we,
detecting laws as it is.
we went in with a truckload of black dirt, grass seed, and water and repaired the damage.
Oh my
And
God.
we've been able to keep it open to hunt with only certain people can hunt it. The fairgrounds and the parks, we sat in park board meetings 5 or 6 different times to keep that open, and we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been detecting for 55 years, and I've been preaching this and preaching this and preaching this.
Yes.
But you know, like you said earlier, even seasoned veterans are doing the problems. You know, you just want to kick them right square and tell them to wake up.
Well, unfortunately, there's always going to be some people that are in it for the wrong reasons.
Yep, I know.
Well,
you know,
and we're not living in mommy's basement anymore, so we got to take care of our own things now.
Right.
Be big boys and girls. So, yeah, it's time to take responsibility.
Yeah, I put out a video every year. I save all my trash that I do for the whole season, and I put it out there on YouTube. It's called the Tarp of Trash, and I do it every year. I do it for a reason. Some people understand why I'm doing it, and some people don't give a rat's.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Right.
And it's too bad because, like you said, we're going to lose this hobby if it keeps it up.
You know, maybe we should start. This is my New Year's resolution. I'm going to start showing the trash I dig. Any hunts this year, once we thaw out, at the end of the video, I will show the trash I dug.
Yeah,
because
that's a good idea.
I don't want people to think that we're not. Everybody digs trash. I don't care who you are.
That's right.
I just tell people to watch for my tarp of trash at the end of the season. And I put it out on a big tarp, spread it all out.
Right.
And then I video it, and then I talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I go through what I found that year of the good stuff. But I've done that since 2012, I think.
Right.
It's a good idea to show the trash. I'm very guilty. I never show the trash just because I don't think it's of interest to people, but it is a good idea. Because a lot of times I get people that ask me, you know, especially people that are new to the hobby. They say, well, I'm digging a lot of trash. What am I doing wrong? No, we all dig trash.
You're not. We all dig trash. That's why I think we should start doing that.
Yeah.
We should start showing so that they see, if they start detecting, it's normal to dig trash. And this may encourage the good ones to stay in and the bad ones not.
Right.
see, in Wisconsin, the DNR put a stop to metal detecting on all state lands, parks, and waterways in the state of Wisconsin.
Whoa, that's a little too close for comfort.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So
Good.
it's, you know, we've been trying to fight them. 3 clubs went together to hire lobbyists to try and fight them to get that back, and we just threw our money away.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Good,
yeah.
man. There's
See, it's sneaking up, and if you're in one state, you may not be having the problem in your state that other states are, but it's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming.
It's
It's a
already
matter
here.
of time.
It's not
there's
coming.
like
It's already
a
here.
huge delay on the.
I know, but
YouTube.
if
Oh, is
it's
there?
not in their state, if they're not aware of it, they will be soon.
Yeah, yeah. All
Well,
right, I just
Uh-oh.
wanted to jump in
Oh.
and
he said he
Give
was
my
having
sense.
some, it was delayed on YouTube, I guess.
okay.
But,
Well, there's going to be somewhat of a delay anyway
yeah,
on YouTube, but
but
I couldn't connect through Google, or the computer wouldn't bring it up, but my phone brought it up fine.
Yeah. Now my
you know,
phone
for the
brought it.
most time, I dig in pastures and you know, not a lot of yards. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that.
I
do
do
dig a
some
lot
yards.
of yards and
I
homesteads.
do mostly
and stuff.
fields, though.
But
Yeah.
even in the fields, you know, I cover those holes. You know,
Yeah.
even though if it's a
You
plowed
don't know
field,
if the
even I
farmer's
kick it
gonna
in
walk.
the dirt. It only takes 2 seconds to do it.
You
Yeah.
know, all it takes is a
95%.
farmer to see something on his land that's not supposed to be there and take off running across the field, and boom, broken
Yeah.
ankle.
95% of my finds I find on road and sidewalk tearouts. I do that all summer long,
Mhm. Right.
and I've even authored a book on that.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have people digging holes and leaving them in construction zone it just makes me irate, you know.
Right.
But
Well, one thing that, you know, if you see somebody doing it wrong in a park, don't be nasty. Kind of
No, I
ease
know.
them into it and say, can I show you a
Exactly.
faster way to cut a plug?
Yep.
And that's how I say it. I don't say better. I say a faster way to cut a plug,
Yeah.
because then you don't have all the big mess to clean up.
Yeah. A lot of the coins that I pick up, I can pull them out with a coin probe. You know, I've been doing
But
it
yeah, but
for so long. It's just second nature.
somebody new is not going to have the patience for that.
No.
So
no, that's the problem.
something that is a learned talent, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
because I've tried and tried and tried, and I'm still not good at using a probe. So,
Joseph Beckish just said, howdy, all been detecting about 10 years now, and I have caught a few people digging holes and leaving a mess. I go
Yep.
over and try to show them the right
Mhm.
way. Only one did not listen. And that's true. I mean, for the majority,
right.
of the people are going to be able to take that constructive criticism, or whatever you want to call it, and put it to
Yep.
use. And
Yeah.
you guys, that's what we really need to do, is to make sure if somebody is doing it improperly, explain to them, let me try to help you out here, you know, because I've been doing this for, 30 years. I've been detecting for 30 years.
Yep.
And can I try and help you make this a little bit easier, and kind of explain to them the importance of the proper techniques, because otherwise we get kicked out of the parks, we lose permissions. Next thing you know, then they shut things completely off.
Right.
Right.
And then the other side of the coin is our next generation of diggers, is teaching them the proper way to do it, so that hopefully they will carry the hobby forward, doing it the
Yeah.
right way.
I do a training session every year at my lock shop and metal detecting shop. It's all day, and I go over everything, proper digging techniques, and what your
Yep.
machine telling you, the whole 9 yards. I do that
There's
every
some
year.
counties in Michigan that you have to get a certificate that you know how to cut a plug properly and
We
excavate
issue-
your target.
That's one of the stations that we have, is proper digging. And then they get a card that says they
Mhm.
went through proper digging techniques. And I
Right.
sign off on them. So I make sure that they did it right.
And you make sure they know that if they get caught doing it wrong, it's your butt too.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. So
You guys, I got about 6 people in here waiting, so
Okay.
I'm gonna
I
jump
can
off.
only fit a few, but I appreciate you guys coming on, and
Thank you for the invite.
hey, you bet. You bet.
Yeah,
I
okay.
appreciate you.
We'll stop in again.
You bet. Thanks a lot, you guys.
All
Okay.
right, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Let's see here. Figure out how
Hold
to.
on.
Okay. Let's see here. There we go. All right. There we go. All right. Hey, Rob, I can see you in the background there. I'm going to have to hold off until you're done with your smoke signal, but then I'll bring you on after that if that's all right. So, but all right. Hey, Will, how you doing?
Doing good. What's going on?
Oh, just sitting here griping. How you doing, John?
I'm pretty good. Just got over being ill for a while, but I'm actually starting to feel really good. So
Good deal. Good deal. Well, you guys are neighbors, aren't you?
Kinda. I think John's up in Tulsa.
yeah, I'm in Tulsa, and I'm sorry if I can't remember where you're from.
Oh,
'Cause
I'm way down here in Buffalo Valley.
Okay. I know I've seen your name and I've seen Oklahoma, but I just couldn't remember, so I apologize.
No problem.
Um,
It's been
I'll make mine quick because I know you got people waiting, Larry, and I get to talk to you probably a lot more than many. Now, I've detected with quite a few people, some of them I'll call mediocre experts for the sake of time, but I have noticed a pattern over the last 2 or 3 years, whether I go to now I do a lot of yards versus people I know do a lot of farm fields, and I don't do as many homesteads, but when I have done fields and I have done homesteads out in the woods, some of them will say, well, ain't nobody here, so they'll just leave the hole and walk on. And to me, it doesn't matter if you're in an abandoned homestead 5 miles in the woods or if you're in a farm field out of season, they'll say, all the rain will wash it in. But I'm noticing people 10, 12, 15 years into the hobby saying, oh, I only cover my holes if I'm in someone's yard. Even new construction sites, they'll just leave them. Oh, they'll bury them. And I'm seeing a trend in that in people that have been doing this for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
So it's not, I'll agree that it's not just a new generation of people, but it's people that should know better.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it's
And that's it. I had to cover up 60 holes one time that were left behind and then told I couldn't detect it.
well, it's kind of like saying I'm only going to take a bath if I'm going to, take a bath or a shower if I'm going to go out in public. Well, if that's the case, I'm in trouble because I don't go out in public all that much.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that you ought to have good practices no matter where you go.
Yeah.
I was just going to jump in there and tell you, we detect a lot. Me and my digging partner go all over the place, but mainly it's in areas that are very populated. Mainly yards. We do some parks, but not a whole lot. We quit doing a lot of the parks because it was trashy. Now I'm talking about the plugs and everything else, but you have to put up with torn up ground and bad plugs that you see, and then having to fix them else. So we just, we kind of pulled away from that and kind of stay away from that and just do yards.
Right.
Not a whole lot of farm fields, some, but that's mainly our big deal is yards, and you have to do a really, really good job or you're not going to be welcome back, and you're going to ruin it for somebody else, just like Larry's saying. But it's a constant, that's part of the hobby is yard work. I mean, that's a big part of it. And like Larry was saying, if you're not willing to go that extra mile, put in the work to go get the fines, then you need to get out of the hobby, because you're going to hurt it for somebody else. And then you hear all these horror stories all the time, with people messing up things and making it rough on everybody else. And It does.
That's
It just
great.
ruins it for everybody. And
Sure does. Sure does. How are you doing, Rob?
I'm good, man. I'm sorry. I wasn't smoking a marijuana
No,
cigarette.
I understand. I understand.
It
So
was the actual cigarette.
no, I understand. But so
Yeah. I just wanted to just tell you that the reason I ended up getting the Equinox MINELAB 800 was because of you, all your
Oh.
videos and everything.
great.
And I recently got I know, yeah, I'm a newbie, I guess you can call me. But I got a permission on 300 acres of property. And I left a comment earlier about that. And 300 acres of property by a gentleman that he's in his 70s. And 300 acres is a lot of property in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I should say it's technically Rowan County.
Mhm.
And I was just getting familiar with the machine, and the daughter of the 70-year-old, which I got permission to go on the property. He said, anywhere you want to go on my property. There's a story behind this, but she's like, yeah, I don't think you should be around here metal detecting. It was their grandparents' home from the 1800s. And you know, she said, you know, call so and so, you know. And so I said, okay. So I packed up and I called him, and he's like, well, she didn't know that you were coming. So permissions, I'm just trying to say, like, permission wise,
Mm-hmm.
if somebody gives you a permission and then there's a family member that would say, no, I'm not into that,
Mm-hmm.
it makes waves, you know. But yeah,
Yeah. And it's a good idea too. Sometimes if you can, if that's a concern, to the original person that you speak to about that permission that gives you the permission,
get it in writing, right?
Yeah, if you can take down his or her information, name, possible phone number.
He was the owner of the property, but his daughter just didn't like the idea, so she came in, you know, and it kind of. I'm just switching it up. You guys are talking about how to dig plots, you know, how to dig, you know. And I'm a concrete masonry kind of guy, so I know how to make sure that I don't disturb the property and all that stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, I just wanted to add my 2 cents. That's all.
Yeah. No, that's good because you know, there's so many aspects to this hobby, really. I mean, when you think about it, we're basically trying to keep ourselves out of trouble. You know, It boils down to, you know, just do everything right. And it's not that you did anything wrong. It was just that how are you to know that this girl may have a different view on it than her dad, you know? And you can say, well, I got the permission from your father.
Correct. And it was a verbal permit. It was a verbal permission.
Right.
You know, and he's got 300 acres of property.
You bet.
You know? And but yeah, when she came up in there, when she came up and was like, yeah, I don't want you doing this here. And they have, like, you know, cows and horses and pigs and all this stuff. And he just said, anywhere you want to go on 300 acres. And, you know, that she walked up to me like, what do you know, kind of like she was kind of surprised, you know?
Right.
So, but anyways,
do you still have the permission?
I still have the permission. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. But there's 10 acres where their grandparents' house was, where they don't want me to go.
Kind of a sentimental deal there, probably. So
I'm not really sure. I'm not totally sure. I'll find out. This was just yesterday.
Oh.
But what kind of finds are you finding there?
Honestly, I just got the Equinox 800, and I'm not an experienced metal detectorist, but everything I'm finding is pretty much 12-gun shotgun shells and old Milwaukee beer cans that are red. I don't know if you guys know about Milwaukee beer cans that are red. I thought it was
like they must be older ones or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But But when I went on that property where the woman, the daughter was like, yeah, I don't want you here. The thing was going off like crazy. And I'm like, okay, I must be doing something wrong with this machine. But I set it up. I got the ground level, the sensitivity, the ground balance and all that. And I'm like thinking like, I must be doing something wrong. But this thing was going off like wildfire. And I ended up going to the field because he owns 300 acres. And I went to this field and, I put it on, iron bias and all that. And I adjusted it to number 4 and the speed recovery at 5 or 4 or whatever. And I'm sorry if I'm boring you guys, but
No.
I'm just recovering 12 gauge shotgun shells, the paper ones. Like, I don't know how old the paper 12 gauge
Those would have
shotgun
been
shells.
black powder shotgun shells. Those are the older ones.
I'm not sure, but that's all I'm recovering. That and red Milwaukee beer cans.
Mm-hmm. Well, you keep on hunting and listening for those good solid signals and stuff. As you learn, listen for those good solid repeatable signals. And later on, you'll kind of start digging other signals, but just to learn the tones and everything, and pay more attention to the tones than you do your VDI, and that'll help you out. But
I
you're
also
going to
did that
dig. Those
180.
shotgun shells do sound good. That brass.
I do the 180. Like when I find something, I do the 180 and the 360 and what everybody talks about when you find a target to, and to make sure that the tones sound right. And
right.
I'm just still getting familiar, but just wanted to share that with you guys.
You bet.
Thank
you. I appreciate it.
Don't ever let anybody tell you they don't dig a beer can or a shotgun stamp or anything like that, because we all still dig them. I mean, they sound so good on there sometimes. You just can't pass them up,
Yeah, that's this one. I'll tell you, everything was coming up like 12 to 17, which is all shotgun shells.
Yep.
The primer on the back of the shotgun shell, and then I came across something that was in the 20s, and I'm like, oh, I might have something, and I dug it up, and it's just old beer cans.
Right.
Well, one thing you can do with to try and identify if it's a beer can, if it's a good loud signal or whatever, start raising your coil as you swing. And if you're still getting that signal, up there above the ground like that, that's a bigger target.
Right.
So,
and I took your advice. I took your advice on one of your videos for that. And I actually, I believe one of your videos said, if you put the coil over it and, you put the pinpoint on the machine, and if it goes off within 4 inches and you're moving it and it's 4 inches and it's going like crazy, it's probably not a coin or something worth anything. Yeah,
I normally, even without the pinpoint mode, just keep swinging and then just keep raising your coil up. And if you're reading that signal way up above the ground, then that's a bigger target.
Right.
So, but you guys, I'm going to put that link down there again. So anybody wants to come on and tell your story.
I'm going to jump off, guys. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and chatting with us for a while.
Yeah, man.
All right. You take care and good luck out there.
I just kind of got stuck here, Larry. I didn't want to jump off without telling you goodbye or anything. But
oh no, you're fine, man. I just want to give people an opportunity to come on. I can fit 4 people onto the screen at one time. But we got Teresa, the treasure hunter, in here. How you doing? Good friend of mine. And so if you guys have any stories, let's see. I saw Daniel Schneider. I don't know if you're able to come on or not, Daniel, to tell your story. I know that he had an issue. And somebody out of, I think it was Alaska. Let me see.
That's a good fella right there, Daniel Schneider. I know that name.
Yeah, he's in the group.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm trying to find some information here. There was I got to learn how to operate this thing, this cell phone. I've had it forever and I'm still learning it. Okay. So I'm not exactly sure where she's at. she's not in Alaska. I forget where, but anyway, she said that she went camping at a council reserve area. It was a big area, not many vehicles around, but apparently the area was used by cars parking when sport events were on. I guess she called the council for permission to use her metal detector and was told that someone had used the area previously, and as well as other reserves around the district. And as the areas were damaged, no metal detecting was allowed on council reserves around the district anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So by one person going out there and doing things improperly ruined it for an entire district. That's why it's so important, you guys. I mean, you guys know this. Most of you know this. But it's so important that we get the message out there. Just spread it. Like I titled my video when I was sharing it on Facebook this morning. I said, spread this like wildfire, because if we don't get the word out there and instruct the people that need instruction, with no instruction comes destruction, basically. So
we've got a state park down here that, you know, they used to allow it. I think it was like you go in there and get a day use permit.
mm-hmm.
And I heard that they've outlawed that now. You know, it's against the rules now. They got rid of it because, and it was the same story. You know, people were leaving holes and just leaving a mess. You know, or they dig cans or whatever up and just leave it laying on the ground. You know, and that's what got it shut down. So it's a real deal. I mean, it's, you know, every state that you hear anybody, you know, that's in this group that they're from, you know, they've all got stories of that going on. So it's really good that you brought that to attention, and it needs to be talked about, you know. The people that are detecting, you know, all of us need to hear it, you know.
Well, the sad thing about it is, day before yesterday, I'm sorry, it was I guess it was 2 days ago, 3 days ago now that this happened. And I put my little rant out there across some Facebook groups that are, you know, metal detecting groups. Unfortunately, some of them didn't take it very well and basically threw it off to the side as if it's not important. Well, it's extremely important. And, you know, I have a feeling the ones who aren't happy about it are the ones that are doing it, you know.
Probably so. I would say that more than, you know, I mean, it appears that way anyway, you know.
Right. But anyway, this is a beautiful hobby. I mean, lots of fun, great history. And as long as we use integrity and respect and just do things in a proper manner, we can keep this hobby going. Yeah. But just as anything goes, I mean, that's why they create laws and stuff, and it's because of the bad guys.
Right. Yeah, it's never because of the good people. It's all, and you know, not calling them bad people, but you know, bad habits or
bad habits, bad practices. But and if you don't understand the proper procedure, it needs to be done, reach out. I'm more than willing to sit and talk with anybody. You know, Larry, how do I dig a plug? I'll send you a video of how to dig a plug. I will help you in any questions you have in metal detecting. I'll be happy to answer those questions. And there's a lot of people that will. But we just got to treat it with integrity. So
yeah, and that's something with us too. You know, nobody wants to.
Go ahead.
You got me?
Yep.
I was going to say, nobody wants to give up good permissions or things like that, but you know, being helpful to somebody that needs a hand, you know, learning the trade, you know, I mean, help them out with that by all means, but
absolutely.
Be kind to one another, you know. For
the most part, we get together and have a lot of fun. So,
right.
But and Patch, we're on. He says he wants me to come dig for him. Yeah, Well, I tell you, when I get me a new back, I might just do that. Oh boy. But anyway,
But
you guys,
I'll jump
I
off here.
know this wasn't. What's that?
I said I'll jump off here and give you some room to visit.
Are you saying I'm fat?
No, how you talking to me? Oh yeah, give you a little. I'm just looking at the screen on this phone here. I know you say you got room for so many people, but I didn't want to be sitting there talking over somebody either.
Oh no, you're good. Nobody's even in the waiting room right now, but you guys, there's room if you want to hop on and tell your story there. I'll put it in the chat again. There's the link in the chat. So if you have a story to tell, come on. Teresa, you may have a story if you want to come on. I saw somebody else. I can't remember who that was now. Oh, it was Daniel Schneider. I'm not sure if he's still in here or not, or if he's able to come on. But yeah, it's anyway. I know this isn't the typical type of a live stream where we just have fun talking about our hobby.
Right.
This is more of a on the serious end of things, but really, it had to be said. It needs to be said. It needs to be, I don't know, put out there more and more, because we do have a lot of new people coming into the hobby, and it's not just new people doing it.
No.
Well, if you see it and you see somebody doing this, if you can just politely, walk up and say, "Hey, can I help you out? Let me show you an easier way." Or, if you're uncomfortable with the situation, then maybe you need to take it to whoever owns the property or the authorities or something and say, "Listen, I don't want my hobby being shut down because of somebody like this." Do what you got to do to preserve your hobby,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I don't. I've been to places to where you go up there and you see the mess. I mean, you see it. You see, or even if it's just a plug that's been put back improper and it's got a crack. You can see a crack around the rim of it where, or it's been completely dug out to where the roots aren't going to come back. And that's another thing too, is time of year. In the fall, I don't worry so much about the root system. Which you probably should, because I know the roots are down in the ground, dormant. But that's the reason, in the fall, okay, everything's brown. It's going to come back in the spring. So I don't worry so much about, leaving a root piece attached. But in the spring and the summer, definitely, I'll dig just a 3-sided plug and roll that thing out to where it's still got the root attached to where, it can still turn green. Because I've seen that happen, especially like in the, ryegrass lawns and things like that. And you'll just see a perfect yellow spot in the middle of the green, and it's not hard to tell where the plugs are, but it takes for that to come back, And,
yeah, I don't know. Try to dig a 3-sided plug, hinge it, but the main thing is just in every step you take from the time that you step out of your vehicle to go and ask a permission till the time you leave there is very important. You guys, it's not just so much digging a plug, but everything you do from the beginning to the end. You got somebody trying to pop on here, but he's not quite connecting on. Oh, it's Rob again, I think. Yep.
It's just like you said before, it's all about respect, respecting somebody else's property, treat it like it's your own. And it's that simple. I mean, take care of it,
Exactly.
It's that important because I know what's out there in the dirt. I know what's in those yards, and I'm going after that, and I don't need to be held back, because somebody's doing a poor job getting everybody kicked out of the yards to where you can't go get it.
That's
it's
right.
like dadgum. I had a cuss me upside and down the other because somebody had went in her yard and made a mess. I'm like, look, that's not me. I'm not going to claim to be a professional, but I try to do a professional job when I'm doing it. And I sit there and visited with her for a while, but I knew it was done. That nobody will be in that yard until that lady's dead and gone and somebody else has moved in, or something. And
Yeah.
that could be how many years, So you lose permissions because somebody makes a mess,
Exactly.
And there's
Hey,
no, and when
Larry,
I hear,
can you hear me? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't see you because I didn't think you were connected, but I do hear your
No.
audio.
Yeah, no, I'm in the back of my house. I know we're talking about digging plugs and to do it properly and all that, and metal detecting on the verge of not being accepted in the world. But I had a question for depth. When you find a target for some odd reason, when I'm finding these items,
Mm-hmm.
they're showing like they're like 4 inches down. And then when I recover them, they're like, on the surface. Does the MINELAB's 800 Equinox, does it have issues with like determining depth? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out now.
You can't really
Gotta go.
rely 100% on the depth gauge. A lot of times it depends on the size of the target. Normally, like with your metal detectors, they try to gauge the depth according to coin size objects. So if it's a dime or something like that, then your depth is going to be closer. But I find that it's usually off. It can be off by several inches or so. So really, that's just a kind of a guesstimate of how far it could be down. It's not 100%. So I wouldn't depend too much on that. What I always try to do is if you get a target and it says that it's say 4 inches down, which would be 2 notches on your depth gauge on the Equinox. I always try to dig below the target and then pop the plug and then if hopefully have the target within the plug and then hit it with my pinpointer to recover it. That way I don't scratch it. Some
Gotcha.
people like to dig the surface off of the target and then use the pinpointer down in the hole. So I guess it's just a matter of what you want to do, but
Right. I've been watching your videos. So my question is, do I go and like park, if I'm in a field or like near a creek, because in North Carolina where I am, I actually have a permission to go to a creek, but in a field, an open farm field, should I run that thing on field 1 or field 2? And I actually experimented with it, and I still don't understand it totally. The iron bias, I understand that. I understand the pass and sweep, the threshold level. I kind of understand that, but and I'm getting crazy signals all around. So I'm just, like I said, I've been just finding shotgun shells, and I'm just trying to figure out, is it just, am I on just a bad property where I'm at? Because
well, you're going to find trashy ground in all kinds of different places. What I would recommend, Rob, is go to Park 1. Use Park 1. That's going to give you your better discrimination. And especially as you learn the machine, I would suggest using Park 1. Just stay with your basic settings and don't complicate it. Is going to be your best bet. And pretty soon you'll start to learn how your machine reacts to certain targets and what tones that those targets are giving you, and you'll learn those tones.
The other strange thing is, like, I'll get like a spike up to like 30 or even 40. So should I be looking at that? Because when I go over the same spot, I'll get like a spike of like high 30s and it even hit 40 one time. Is that something? And I went to go look back over it, and it wasn't hitting back again. Is that like something the machine does? Because I have the sensitivity I had it on field 2. I was messing with field 1 and field 2, and I put the sensitivity up between 20 to 25, and it was making these high spikes out of nowhere. Is that normal?
Well, it's hard to say without seeing it, but it's, like I've always said, when in doubt, dig it out. But always, try to listen for those solid, repeatable signals, especially in the beginning as you're learning. But the only way to really solve the question is to actually go ahead and dig that target and find out what was going on there.
Right.
And in the beginning, it's probably a good practice to dig all your targets so you get a feel for, okay, well, that was this type of a tone. Maybe it showed up a 23 or something like that on the VDI, and it produced this type of a target. And you may start to see a pattern there after a while. Just like, dimes will read up, a certain number, and pretty soon you look down, you say, okay, well, that's a 26 on my Equinox 800. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a dime. You dig it
Right.
up, and a lot of times it's a dime, or maybe it's something else, but we just never know until we actually recover that target. We can have an educated guess a lot of times once we get the feel for it, but
Right. Are you out of Ohio? Is that where you're out of? Idaho.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, there's a field, like I told you, a gentleman, 300 acres of property, and I'm trying to, and it's kind of crazy, but I'm all into it now, and at least I found many items. It's all shotgun shells, and I found a 1942 penny and a 1961 nickel, but besides that, I haven't, and I've only done it for like a couple times. But
well, you're in that silver range, so that's good. That's good.
Everything from if I'm not mistaken, everything from 1964 and beyond and earlier is
Correct.
silver.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yep.
But yeah,
that thing
goes.
Frame, that's good.
That thing goes crazy, though. I'm just trying to understand the machine. That's all.
Yeah. Make sure that you noise cancel, and you noise cancel every so often to, because your EMI is going to change as you move around depending on the area.
Well, that's the other thing I want to ask you too. Should I put it on automatic ground? The automatic?
No, I don't recommend automatic ground balance, because I found that sometimes that can actually cancel out good targets. I never use automatic ground balance or ground tracking. If that's what you're referring to, the auto ground tracking.
Yes.
I would just leave your ground balance at 0 for now. And just like I say, don't complicate it. Put it in Park 1. You can even use Park 2, either one, and then just use the program that they already have in the machine. And so don't worry about ground balance or anything else. Just go ahead and hunt. All you really need to mess with is your sensitivity and your noise cancel.
So my last question is why do they give you the option of field 1, field 2? Because that's where I'm hunting is in fields.
Well, they're optimized for different types of targets and stuff like that. Like field 1 is optimized for like a smaller targets and stuff, really small items. It's supposed to hit on smaller items better, like coins on edge and stuff like that. So yeah, there's just different programming. There's different amount of tone. You can change your tones if you want to listen, because I think Park 1, if I remember right, maybe don't hold me to this, but I think Park 1 or Park 2 is set to 50 tones, and I don't care to listen to 50 tones. I always set that to 5 tones.
The 5 tones, yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
So it's just a little easier to listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
okay, all right, thank you.
You bet.
I'm gonna jump off, man.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Rob.
All right, Larry. Take care.
Take care. So, all right, you guys. Well, is there any questions or anybody want to discuss what we've been discussing here? Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we got the word out about this because I don't want to lose this hobby. I don't think any of us do. And we can, really work on how we present ourselves in this hobby and in everything else we do in life. I'm not a life coach, but I do want to protect this hobby and do whatever I can to do that. So you can hate me for it, you can love me for it, and that's okay either way. But I have to do what I have to do to try and preserve this hobby. So anyway, you guys, we've been on here for almost an hour and a half. Is there anybody else that wants to tell a situation they've been in out there, or anything to say about what's been going on with this hobby? So, all right, you guys. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll go ahead and close this live down, I guess, and we'll just plan on having a more of a better live next week. How's that? I'm not saying this wasn't a good live because I really do think this is important. And if you guys would, this will be out on. I actually probably the better one would be to share the video that I put out earlier this morning. It's a lot shorter because that's only a 6.5 minute video that pretty much gets right to the point. And but we just really need to concentrate on preserving the integrity of metal detecting. And so spread the word, you guys. If you see bad stuff taking place out there, if you're comfortable with it and it's a safe situation, if you could maybe offer some instruction, if they're new to the hobby, if they don't want the instruction, don't push it. Don't put yourself in any situations. At that point, I would take it to the landowner and just let them handle it at that point. Say, listen, I don't want to lose my hobby due to somebody with a bad attitude that won't take the instruction. And I want you to know that I'm not the one doing this. So I would like to clear this up. And if you want to handle the situation, but otherwise, we're going to lose the hobby if we don't instruct and let people know, hey, we can't be doing this. So yeah, anyway, you guys, I appreciate each and every one of you joining me here on this live stream tonight. And we'll shoot for having another one on next Friday. Anyway, you guys, let me see what we got here, Piper. I hate to say it, but let's see. Breaks down in society. I have many hobbies, and it seems to across the board these days. We just have to try and be vigilant. Thank you, Larry. Another great night. You're right, brother. It is widespread, and we can only try to protect what we're involved in the only way that we know how. So it's a shame, and I think it comes from a lack of upbringing, a lack of parenting. That's another issue we don't need to go into right now, but when we don't have that upbringing to teach us the proper things in life in general, it snowballs, and that snowball's rolling downhill. So unfortunately, that's just the way it works. But it's a shame, but that's kind of the world we're living in right now. So, but you guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys joining me here tonight. And be safe out there. Stay healthy. I'm just now finally getting over a bad head and chest crud that I was dealing with for almost a month. And my wife is sick right now, and it seems like everybody's getting sick around here lately. But anyway, I think I'm on the uphill. I'm going to go metal detecting tomorrow at an old homestead. And I'll hopefully be able to make a video for you guys for next Friday. So anyway, you guys, thanks again. You're awesome. I appreciate all of you. You take care and have a great night.